How you doing? My name's Jim Cox. I'm here to tell you a story about how God showed how awesome He is by showing He was present when our family just recently experienced a devastating accident. I call this story The Camel and the Cloud. Our son Hunter, who was attending Columbia College for film class, showed us a clip that he had to put together. It was a little animation. It's about a camel going across the desert on a skateboard. Now this camel's crossing the desert, and above him is a cloud watching over him. As the camel goes across the desert, he approaches a cliff. So that's the story of the camel and the cloud. Now, while we was in Wisconsin, we planned on skiing. We was out there skiing, then Hunter got this brilliant idea about filming himself going over this big jump. Not a good idea. So that day went. We got back the next morning, and we was hoping things would change for the better, but there wasn't much change at all. So I started realizing how serious this was. On Hunter's wall there was a board. Now I'm thinking of the animation that Hunter showed us. So I drew the cloud. On the cloud I put "Watch over Hunter." On the camel I put "Get the camel home safely." Now, we got back to the hospital the next morning, and Hunter's state never changed much at all. He was still on the breathing tube, and the machine was breathing for him. And I started realizing this is a little more serious than I expected. So I said a prayer. And during my prayer, I prayed that God would show me some kind of sign that He was there watching over Hunter. While I was finishing my prayer, I glanced up and I happened to be looking at the picture that I drew on the wall, the cloud and the camel. And I got done praying, and I grabbed my newspaper. I grabbed the sports section of all things. And I turned to the very first page, and here's this guy feeding a camel. And I was like, man, that is awesome. And I showed my wife Trudy, and she said, that's pretty cool. I don't think she got it as much as I did at the time, but I just knew that God was showing that He was there for us. So the next day rolls around, and we're hoping to go back and see Hunter in a little better shape, but it never happened that way. He was still pretty much the same as he was the night before. So I got my newspaper out again. I liked working on the crossword puzzles and the word searches. For that day there, I looked at the word search, and they don't show you the words to circle, they give you clues. And the clue that day was find 5 hoofed animals. They give you deer as an example. So I started looking, and clear as a bell, the word camel appeared to me. This is just crazy. So I showed Trudy that one, and she, I think then it hit her that it showed that God was with us at the time. From there on, Hunter's state slowly started improving. So the weekend rolled around, some of the family came, and they only allowed 2 people in the room at a time. So the rest of us were in a holding room for the family members. I was sitting there just kind of talking with the family, And I grabbed a magazine. It's a Ranger Rick. You guys might have heard of that one before, but it's kind of a children's magazine. And in the magazine, on the very last page, there was a little joke saying, "What do you find in the North Pole with two humps?" And sure enough, there was a picture of a camel, and it said, "A lost camel." It was kind of like God saying that, "I told you I was going to be there." So that's our story of the camel in the cloud. Thank you.